I saw this question and I wanted to address it, which is how can you start a SaaS or software as a service without coding knowledge? And I broke it down into two categories. So the first category is if you have a lot of time, and then the second category is if you have a lot of money. Based on these two, these are the best options. So just to give some background, I've been coding for 8 years now, and a lot of that has been like me investing my own time to code. But I know a lot of people probably have more money than time. So if you have a lot of time, the three options are: first, you can either learn no code, or you can learn how to code, or you just find a partner, right? And then in terms of money, I think the two best options are you either hire a developer or you acquire an existing SaaS. So I'm going to go into specifics. If you have a lot of time and you want to learn no code, I personally haven't really learned no code. I use Zapier and some other no code options like Framer for the landing page. I know a lot of people might not want to learn how to code, and it's easier if you learn on no code. I think for no code, the best options are either WordPress. So WordPress is like a blog / landing page option, and it's pretty easy to use. In terms of automation, I think the best one is like Zapier or Make. So these two are pretty good. If you need to have a more functional app, I think the best option is Bubble. So Bubble allows you to create apps that are fully functional, but the only downside is it might be limited if you want more advanced functionality. Depending on how advanced your app you want, I think Bubble is pretty good to ship it out fast, but if you scale it and you want certain features, I think it's probably very limited compared to if you code it. So in terms of coding, I started coding when I was 17. If I had to do it again, basically what I would learn is just Python. Python for the backend, I would just use Django because Django has a lot of the components that you need in a SaaS, like auth, user management. It makes payments really easy. I would go with Django, and then Vue for the front end. I personally think Vue is a lot easier to learn than React or all these other JavaScript frameworks, but it's more of a personal preference. So yeah, I will learn these two. And then in terms of a partner, I have a lot of friends that don't know how to code and what they did to get into YC. So YC is this startup incubator where you kind of need to start a co-founder. And what they did to get into YC, because they didn't know how to code, but they knew marketing. So what they did is they used the YC co-founder app or the page. It pairs you up with a founder, whether you're looking for a marketing co-founder or whether you're looking for a technical co-founder. So this site's pretty good, especially if you have some like credentials. It should be pretty easy to find someone that knows how to code and is willing to work with you. This is like a pretty good option. The only downside is that it will probably take a lot of time to find the right co-founder, and even if you think you found the right co-founder, you might start a project and you later decide that it's not the right co-founder, right? So there's a lot of time investment just finding that right person. So that's the, I guess, free option if you need someone to help you code the project. So by heart, how technically challenge it is to make a MVP. Let's say the MVP is just a simple app where you can read and write data, and like the front end doesn't have to be that fancy. I think in that case, it's totally fine if you learn how to do a no code or even a really simple code option. But let's say you're trying to create this advanced algorithm to match cars, so something like Uber. Like in that case, you definitely need a technical co-founder because the chance of you learning how to code and getting that off the ground is going to be very slim. That's the only thing to consider, especially if you're deciding between if you need a co-founder or if you are trying to learn it yourself. So let's get into the part where you have a lot more money than time. So the first option is you just hire a developer. So I've made previous videos on how to find the right developer, but I think if you have more money than time, you should first just find someone that can advise you on if you're even hiring the right developers. So this is probably like paying someone just for consulting to do code reviews and to review the code of people that you find. So I think having this two-step layer where your dev writes a code, then you have someone that's more senior and you probably would pay them a bit more to review the code of the dev. And then also, this is really useful if you want to make high-level changes to the app and they made changes that hurt them in the long term. It's important to make sure that like the high-level architecture is done properly by someone that has done it before. So that's the option if you want to hire a developer. And then the other option where let's say you don't want to waste months building it and you kind of just want to get something off the ground, the best option is acquiring is existing SaaS, right? This means you either reach out to people on acquire.com, which is like a marketplace where people will sell their SaaS products, or you can find just like random product in the wild on like Twitter, indie hackers of people that are selling their SaaS. So in Exploding Insights, this is like a small promotion. There are two databases. So the first one is acquire.com. So these are all the startups that are being listed for people to buy, right? So these are all the different options. And for SaaS startups, a lot of these would take you months or years to build, right? So this one, for example, is being listed for 1.4 million, and it's a personalized outreach tool using real-time Google Ads to deliver high impact outreach. The chance of you like learning no code or learning how to code and like building this is probably very slim if you don't know how to code. In this case, it would, if you have more money time, it's like better just to buy it because you save months and years, right? So that's just one example. But then on indie hackers, there might be a lot more projects where it's pretty easy to do it in Bubble or some other no code option. This one, for example, it's a product hunt for music. So it's basically a one-page app where it lists all your things, and it probably was built in Bubble or some no code thing because it's super simple. There's like a big factor where like the projects that you want to build might force you to pick one option or the other. And then also, let's say you only want to build projects that have already made money or have already been validated. So one of the easiest ways to figure that out is in the Indie Hackers forum. It will tell you if the project has multiple founders and if it has over a certain number of employees. So if it's under 5 employees, then it's probably safe to say that you could build it by yourself. But if it's over 10 employees, that might be a limiting factor if you're on your own and you don't have much money. That's just one small thing to call out. But otherwise, these are the main things, and I will see you guys next time.